There's a real storm brewing in Philadelphia, and it's not just about the weather. The Eagles, despite having one of the most talented rosters in the NFL, find themselves at a critical turning point, especially when it comes to getting after the quarterback. With just 9 sacks so far this season, the Birds are ranked near the bottom of the league in one of the most important defensive categories. And now, the front office might be cooking something big to change that. Rumors are flying about the Eagles pursuing none other than Trey Hendrickson, a pass-rushing machine who's led the NFL in sacks over the past 2 seasons. If Howie Roseman pulls this off, we could be looking at one of the most impactful mid-season trades in recent franchise history. Now, let's unpack all this because there's a lot going on. First off, Hendrickson's situation with the Bengals has been tense. He won a long-term deal heading into the season, but instead, Cincinnati gave him a raise, a cool $14 million for this year, with no long-term commitment. That means when this season ends, he hits free agency. But here's the thing. The Bengals are sitting at 2 wins and 4 losses, and things don't look like they're trending upward. If they're smart, they'll flip a veteran like Hendrickson now, rather than letting him walk for nothing later. And for what we're hearing, the Eagles are one of the teams expected to make a move. Think about that for a second. You add Hendrickson, who's had 17.5 sacks in each of the last 2 seasons, to a team that's already stacked with interior talent, but is clearly lacking on the edge. That's a scary thought for opposing quarterbacks. And sure, some might say, well, the Eagles already have guys like Josh Uche and Azeez Ojulari. But let's be real, neither has made a significant impact this year. Uche's been decent in a rotational role, but Ojulari only got on the field because of injuries. The production just hasn't been there. What makes Hendrickson so valuable is more than just sack numbers. He's consistent. He's durable. He's been one of the most disruptive players in football for the past 4 seasons. His pass rushing grade this year? Over 90. That's elite. And even though he's over 30 now, he's still playing at an incredibly high level. He's also not the type of player that'll completely destroy your cap space if you want to extend him. It's the kind of win-now move that makes perfect sense for a team try to get back to the Super Bowl. But let's also be real about this. The Eagles' defense is in trouble. The pressure rate might look decent on paper, but the sack numbers tell the truth. You can pressure all day long, but if you're not finishing plays, quarterbacks will make you pay. Vic Fangio doesn't like to blitz. Historically, he wants to generate pressure with 3 or 4 guys and let the secondary do its job. That was the formula that worked back when the Eagles took down Kansas City in the Super Bowl. 0 blitzes the entire game. But this year, Fangio's been dialing up more pressure than usual. Why? Because his front 4 just isn't getting home on its own. Only one edge rusher has even recorded a sack so far this season. Patrick Johnson with half a sack. That's it. The rest of the pressures are coming from the interior, and even then, it's not translating to real disruption. The Eagles have a total of 113 pressures, which ranks near the top of the league, but only 9 sacks to show for it. That's a massive disconnect. And it's why a move like Hendrickson makes so much sense. Look, Howie Roseman has a track record of being aggressive at the deadline. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Remember the trade for Jay Ajayi back in 2017? That was a 4th-rounder well spent. But then you've got deals like the 3rd-round pick for Golden Tate in 2018 or the Robert Quinn trade in 2022. Neither really paid off. Last year, Kevin Byard was brought in to stabilize the secondary, but he didn't make a huge difference either. Still, this situation feels different. This isn't a Band-Aid. Hendrickson could be a true game changer. And here's the kicker. The Eagles have the draft capital to make this happen. If you send a 2nd and a 3rd rounder to Cincinnati for Hendrickson, it sounds steep, right? But zoom out. The Eagles still have their 1st-round pick in 2026. They have another 3rd coming from the Jets, which is likely to be high. And they're projected to get a 3rd-round compensatory pick after Milton Williams left in free agency. Add to that 2 4ths, 2 5ths, and a 6th, and you're talking about a team that can afford to be aggressive without mortgaging the future. This is exactly the kind of window where you go all in. And the ripple effect could be huge. When you improve your pass rush, everything else gets better. Linebackers look more competent. The secondary holds up longer. Quarterbacks have less time to make decisions. the entire defense becomes more dangerous. And with the way the Eagles' secondary has been playing, dealing with injuries, inconsistency, and some flat-out poor performances, getting more pressure up front might be the most realistic way to cover those holes. As of now, your outside cornerbacks behind Quinion Mitchell are a mix of Adoree Jackson, Khalil Ringo, and Jacorian Bennett. That's not a group that strikes fear into anyone. But if you're getting to the quarterback faster, those guys don't have to cover for as long. That's how you hide weaknesses. And even though some insiders think Howie might try to swing deals for both a pass rusher and a corner, let's be honest, going all in on one elite piece might be the smarter play. You bring in Hendrickson, let Mitchell lock down one side, and hope someone else steps up on the other. Maybe Ringo or Jackson becomes serviceable. You don't have to be perfect if you're disruptive up front. Now, let's touch on the injury report, because it actually has some good news for once. Jalen Carter, who's been dealing with a heel injury, says he's going to play. That's massive. The Eagles' run defense has looked soft without him. Against the Giants and Cowboys, the middle of the line got gashed repeatedly. Carter changes that. He might not be having a dominant year statistically, but his presence forces offenses to adjust. And when he's not there, teams exploit it. Quinion Mitchell also returned to practice after a hamstring issue. That's another huge boost. Without him, the Eagles will be stuck relying on Adoree Jackson or Ringo to cover Justin Jefferson this weekend. Yeah, that's a nightmare. Mitchell has been traveling with number 1 receivers all season, and if he's active, the game plan changes entirely. He can play outside, or he can slide into the slot when needed. That versatility is exactly what Vic Fangio wants, and frankly, it's the only way you have a chance at slowing down Jefferson, who has nearly 500 yards already this year despite spotty quarterback play. And speaking of quarterbacks, it looks like Carson Wentz will be under center for Minnesota. He gets the ball out fast, one of the quickest releases in the league, which means the Eagles' defense won't have time to rely on slow-developing pressure. You've got to beat your man fast and force mistakes early. That's another reason why adding a player like Hendrickson makes so much sense. You need guys who win their battles quickly and consistently. So now the question becomes, how much are you willing to give up for a player like Hendrickson? Because he's not cheap, but he's also not just some rental. Even if you don't extend him long-term, you get him for the stretch run. You make your defense scarier overnight. And if the Eagles are serious about winning it all this year, not next year, not down the line, this is the kind of move you make. And while the Trey Hendrickson rumors are lighting up the fan base, there's an even bigger underlying question this move brings into focus. How committed are the Eagles to turning this defense into a championship-caliber unit right now? Because the offense, for all its firepower, has had to carry way too much weight week in and week out. That pressure is not sustainable deep into the season. The Eagles need balance. They need a defense that can slam the door shut in the fourth quarter, not one that lets teams hang around or mount comebacks. And the truth is, Hendrickson might be the missing piece that brings the whole puzzle together. The urgency is real. The schedule doesn't get easier. You've got teams with elite receivers, top-tier quarterbacks, and playoff-caliber rosters coming up. So far, the Eagles have survived by outscoring opponents, but that's not a strategy you want to take into January football. That's where defense wins games. That's where pressure breaks elite quarterbacks. You don't want to be relying on shootouts when you're facing teams like the 49ers or the Lions or whoever comes out of the AFC. You want to be dictating terms. Hendrickson gives you that ability. He wins his reps, he sets the edge, he forces mistakes. He's not just another guy, he's a force multiplier. And this is exactly what Vic Fangio has been waiting for. He didn't take the defensive coordinator job in Philly to watch his scheme get shredded every Sunday. He came in expecting to work with a unit that could execute his vision. 4-man rush, tight coverage on the back end, discipline, smart football. But without that dominant edge presence, Fangio has had to get creative, and that's not his style. The blitz-heavy approach we've seen so far isn't sustainable. That's not where he thrives. He thrives when his front four eats on its own. Hendrickson would bring Fangio's system back to life. Let's not forget the context here. The Eagles have built one of the deepest rosters in football, and most of it is locked in through at least next season. They've got cost-controlled talent at premium positions. Their quarterback is paid. Their offensive line, while banged up, is still one of the best in the game. But windows in the NFL are short. You can't assume it'll be wide open forever. Injuries happen. Coaching staffs change. Players get old or decline unexpectedly. When you have a shot, you take it. And adding Hendrickson is not a desperate move. It's a calculated one. Because even if you're worried about the cost, it's not like the Eagles would be mortgaging the future. They've managed the draft board brilliantly under Howie Roseman. They always find a way to recoup picks, whether through compensatory formulas, smart trades, or maneuvering on draft day. And when you look at the depth they already have at several key spots, they don't need a dozen draft picks next year. They need 2 or 3 high-impact rookies and a few role players. The rest of the roster is already championship ready. This is when you package picks to bring in proven difference makers. And Hendrickson is exactly that. Now, let's get back to that injury report for a second. There's optimism around Jalen Carter and Quinion Mitchell, but questions remain elsewhere. Landon Dickerson is clearly still not right. He's dealing with an ankle issue now, but even before that, the signs were there. He's been getting pushed around, which is unusual for a guy his size and talent level. You can see it in his footwork, in the leverage battles he's losing. And that all goes back to health. Maybe it's the back. Maybe it's the knee. Either way, he's not playing like himself. And the problem is, on the offensive line, there's no place to hide. If you're not right, you get exposed. Defensive tackles are too strong, too fast, and too technical to give you a break. So now you've got a banged-up interior line and a defense that's struggling to bring quarterbacks down. That's a recipe for disaster if you don't make a move. You can't afford to hope these problems fix themselves. You have to be proactive. That's what made Howie Roseman the best general manager in the league. He doesn't wait for things to implode. He reads the room, sees where the holes are, and fills them before they become fatal flaws. This team isn't far off. They just need that one extra spark. Hendrickson could be it. And remember, his impact doesn't end with the sack column. You bring him in, and suddenly, offenses have to account for him. That changes how they block. It changes where they slide protections. It opens up more one-on-one opportunities for guys like Josh Sweat, Jalen Carter, or Fletcher Cox if he's healthy. That kind of presence doesn't just improve your defense. It elevates everyone around it. That's what great players do. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our Philadelphia Eagles. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a stunning turn of events that has sent shockwaves through the NFL world, Terrion Arnold has officially parted ways with the Detroit Lions and is reportedly set to join the Philadelphia Eagles. Sources close to the situation suggest that the move, while still technically a rumor, is gaining serious traction, fueling speculation that the Eagles may have finally pulled off one of the most talked-about acquisitions of the season. Arnold, known for his explosive playmaking and defensive versatility, has been a key figure for Detroit, earning praise for his relentless energy and game-changing instincts. Rumors about his potential departure had been circulating for weeks, with fans and analysts alike debating whether the Lions could afford to let such a talent walk away. Now, whispers from league insiders point toward Philadelphia as the new destination, a development that could dramatically reshape the NFC East landscape. The supposed deal has generated a flurry of reactions across social media. Eagles supporters are buzzing with excitement at the prospect of adding Arnold's firepower to an already formidable roster, while Lions fans are expressing disbelief and concern over what seems like a sudden and unexpected exit. If this is true, it's a game-changer, one analyst commented. Arnold has the ability to alter the trajectory of any defense, and the Eagles could be positioning themselves for a serious run. While neither team has released an official statement confirming the transfer, sources hint that negotiations may have been quietly underway for some time. Industry insiders speculate that behind-the-scenes conversations and strategic maneuvers could explain the timing, adding an element of intrigue to a move that feels both bold and calculated. The buzz around Arnold's potential arrival in Philadelphia underscores the high-stakes chess match of NFL roster management, where timing, talent, and a little bit of rumor can shift the balance of power overnight. Whether this turns out to be a finalized signing or remains in the realm of speculation, the NFL community is watching closely. The chatter surrounding Terrion Arnold's move has reignited debates about team strategy, player loyalty, and the lengths franchises will go to secure top talent. One thing is certain. If this rumor proves true, the Eagles may have just made one of the most electrifying roster decisions of the year, leaving fans across the league eagerly awaiting the next twist in this unfolding saga. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Philadelphia Eagles, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.